want to dive in by introducing first this idea of loving presence. So loving presence is you in your heart space, in your most expanded place of love. You know, I often say, if you don't know who to pray to the most loving part of yourself. That loving self is your soul self. It is the witness, it is the observer, and it is the key to compassion, forgiveness, and truly, it is the key to being more in tune and therefore intuitive and living an intuitive life. So this divine self that you are is with you all the time. And it's our choice how much we want to identify as that loving presence. The reality is we are human beings in human earth suits. And as human beings, we have a lot going on, including emotions. So what is an emotion? An emotion is energy in motion. What happens so often is our personalities, our protective layers, our minds want to tell a lot of stories about what these emotions mean. But our loving presence, our real soul self, has a different perspective. And this is why this is so key for clearing the way. When we have emotion, and it could be anger, frustration, it could be sadness, it could be anxiety or fear, when that energy wants to move and we deny it or we suppress it or we block it, we literally store that energy in our bodies. And that energy needs to be cleared. We need to clear the way so we can flow. And so this process of uncovering the hidden emotions is a really important part of waking up to your intuitive gifts and abilities. And what I know to be true is the way through is through. What I also know is it's much easier to go through any of these frequencies, energies, emotions, feelings with loving presence as my witness, as simultaneously with me in the dark nights of the soul. So what that looks like personally, and you can apply this for yourself, is when there is a stream of grief or sadness, and I can feel the swelling of tears and they want to run through. I recognize that this is motion. This is emotion. This is emotion, right? And I let those tears fall. I let my voice cry. I let myself feel, because feeling is healing. As humans, we must release what is stuck and blocked to open the way for more of who we are. I want to now introduce you to an amazing, useful process to support you in feeling for that healing, to support you in witnessing with loving presence the energy and motion in your body, in your being. You know, there are times when maybe a light emotion comes forth and it's very easy, like a child, to simply pout or cry or experience, be touched, feel the frustration and move on. And that's really the best thing we can do, is to be more like a child. Children laugh when they want to laugh, they cry, and the tears come out. They have the courage to feel and move through and really stay current with their emotions. But over time, we can get some pretty strong blocked energy in our bodies and our beings. And when some of the bigger triggers hit, this is when I invite you to this process. This process is called FABU, F-A-B-U, and it was developed by Riyaz Motan. And when I heard him describe it, I was so excited, because it really rings so true to what I spoke about in my book, Inspired. However, Riyaz has really fine-tuned these instructions in the FABU acronym, and I want to walk you through this process. So especially when there is an emotional trigger that feels very strong for you, and it can be any of the feelings, I invite you to take the time, and this will take time. This will take loving presence and time. It could take 5 minutes. It could take 2. It could take an hour. and as you practice with it, you'll better know how to navigate. But give yourself some space and time to feel. Rest into that feeling, and that's F, to feel and to give a face to the feeling. By that, that face, what does that mean? Where in your body are you feeling this? So we're not taking the feeling and jumping into a thought about what it means or a criticism about what it means. We aren't doing that. That does not work. That's actually negative self-talk and becomes harmful, creates more stories, gets us locked in the mind. So we want to feel. So feel means feel. Feel the energy. Give it a face, meaning, what does it look like? What color is it? What shape is it? Where is it living, if it is anywhere in your body? So feeling into the nuance of the energy. And this takes a very intuitive muscle of sensing energy. So by the way, this process absolutely supports you in growing your being in tune intuitive muscles, because you really are becoming an intuitive healer for yourself. So face, a face to the feeling. What color? What does it look like? Right? So just resting in, let's say there's a sadness and it looks really gray and it's wet. It's kind of soapy and moist, and wow, I'm really feeling it at the base of like my pelvic region. Okay, so it's now a sensation. It's an energy. A stands for allow. Allow, accept, be aware. Allowing is that loving presence. This is that witness that I'm speaking to. This is that unconditional soul observer that is simultaneously with you, loving you while there is a feeling. And so allowing, accepting. This energy does not want to fix it. It does not want to figure it out. It's not judging it, nor repressing it, nor avoiding it. It is moving right in with acceptance. It is absolutely allowing it. Really important. That's when there's no judgment. If you judge yourself for feeling, take a deep breath and invite loving presence so that you can allow. Bring loving presence into the room, into the house. Perfect, right? Feel, allow, be with it. Really be with it and befriend it. And so when you befriend it, you are your best friend to this emotion. And you can breathe, another B word, you can breathe with it. That spongy gray, I'm breathing into that part of my body. I'm being with and befriending it. And that befriending could become somewhat curious, not to change it, not to fix it or solve it, but curious and loving. You, and this is a powerful part, the you of FABU. Unfold. Let it unwind, unfold. Let it change if it wants to. So the feeling and allowing and being with lets that energy, that feeling unwind and relax and release. And in that unwinding process, it might transform. It might intensify. And so then guess what? You get to be with that. You get to FABU that if it intensifies and now it becomes really dry and brittle. Be with that, right? And let that unfold. And continue the process of being with the unfolding. And in the unfolding, there might be images, there will be transformation, there will be a shifting, it could soften. So then there's a softening. The other part of unfolding is understanding. And so as you're being with and befriending, and you're absolutely in acceptance, right? So at this point, there's a lot of loving presence, curiosity, you're exploring these energies in your body. You might ask a question like, what do you want? What do you need? And maybe in that sadness, there's a friend that I miss, right? In my example, and it's like, I want to reach out to that person. Or maybe there is a relationship where I realize I was out of bounds, or I'd said something I wish I didn't, and I want to apologize. So the sadness actually has wisdom or information to support me in my life. Maybe whatever it is that you are FABUing, it has a need for more rest. Maybe it's an anger, and it's angry because there's been some trespass of boundaries with yourself or involving another person, and it needs to rectify or reclaim clear agreements, right? And so the anger, the anxiety, the grief, the frustration, the disbelief, the confusion, the doubt, the scarcity, all of these feelings that are so common in the human body that for so long have been repressed, which creates depression. They want to express, and they often have some wisdom. Now, you might inquire and ask as you are unfolding and understanding. You might ask, what do you need? You might not hear anything. You might actually get more of an image and a memory. And maybe it is about integrating something that happened in the past. Because ultimately, a lot of our emotional charges and triggers are not based on the current, they're based on the past. I actually talk a bit about that in my book, Inspired. And in the notes, I will let you know what chapter that's in and what page, so you can go right to how our triggers are our path to freedom, and that whoever is triggering us is our greatest teacher. But the triggers happen because of past events. And those could be traumatic events. Trauma defined as overwhelming for the nervous system. Overwhelming for the nervous system, varying degrees of trauma. On that note, if you feel you are touching into something pretty traumatic and big, I would recommend working with a professional and use the FABU for those times when you know that you can be the loving presence that you are, while simultaneously having these feelings that are revealing information. Now, that takes a lot of emotional maturity and spiritual maturity, and it really is a sign of spiritual self-esteem when we can observe and listen and sense at this level. So absolutely, the FABU works and is powerful to do on your own. It's a very intuitive. I was talking with Riyaz about it, and he said, oh, absolutely, share this method in your training. And it is a very intuitive method. But if you want to learn more, I did put a link to his site, as well as a great podcast where you can hear him explain the process as a psychotherapist of many years and a profound healer, a beautiful person that I'm grateful to know. So those are down below for you as well. So we FABU when we know we can be that stability of our soul self for ourselves. And when we know we are opening to more traumatic, overwhelming experiences that might include some deep, deep emotions, and can be overwhelming again, right? We're not trying to ever recreate the trauma, but we are releasing it as human beings, all of us at this time. Have a professional with you. And the beauty of having a professional is they become that stabilizing force for you. They become the stability of the observer and the witness and the loving presence, so they can help you feel, allow, breathe, be with, and befriend, and unwind and understand. and be with and breathe and befriend and unwind and understand, unravel. And this becomes such a powerful process. So take a nice deep breath. I really encourage you to be gentle with yourself. I actually drew a card from a little deck of cards that I made for myself. And this is what I got before I filmed this. So yeah, maybe you can also affirm, I am gentle with myself. This is like your soul self holding the emotion to healing. Healing comes from the root word to make whole. So what we're doing is we are applying the salve of loving presence to integrate what we didn't feel in the past. And the results are amazing. The results are more freedom, more flow, more softening, more ability to be in the present moment. So the next time you do get triggered or you have a life event that is difficult, I encourage you to give FABU a try. And also to realize that that situation that just happened is for your good. As Riyaz says, he says, things that are happening in the present are designed to heal the past. Things that are happening in the present are designed to heal the past. Your triggers are your path to freedom. The guru you've been looking for is the person in front of you who triggered you. So I hope this is something that you experiment with. This is an experiment. Enjoy.